Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've been on an episode, but it is my turn to try to get banned. So, Dave, last Let's Get Banned, got into the cyber polygon a little bit. This is something, like he said, that has so much more to talk about. I am going to expand on it fully, the encompassing events, all around. It's a lot, and we're going to jump right in. So, first, we know what the cyber polygon is. Dave gave a great summation. It's a exercise on cyber attacks, ransomware, crippling things in the new technology-based cyber world that we are a part of, inevitably. And we plainly see the loads and loads of cyber attacks, ransomwares happening all over the place, specifically in the US. You had capital pipelines, you had the JBS, you had the supply chain. There's loads of things happening everywhere, and there's so much more than even just that. Now, capital pipelines was an interesting one. This happened before Cyber Polygon, as did a couple other of these, but it's all really solid prep work. One of the most interesting things about the capital pipeline is that the FBI was able to sequester 2.5 million of the ransom paid. Now, blockchain, Bitcoin, all of those things, it's anonymous, right? Okay. So the FBI couldn't give the Bitcoin, 2.5 million in Bitcoin that it took, back to its owners because it didn't know who they were. Although, logically, wouldn't we say that if they took the Bitcoin from the hackers, that the Bitcoin belonged to Capital Pipeline? But no, they didn't give it back to them. Why would they do that? It's the federal government's now. So that's a federal government's nice little way to buy into the crypto world. But onto the articles. So the Russia-based ransomware gang went offline today. No one really knows what for, how come. There's really not an explanation. The Russia-based criminal syndicate behind the devastating series of recent ransomware attacks went offline on Tuesday. There is no explanation. The Revil, however you want to say that, dark web data leak site was responsible for the Memorial Day attack on the meat processor, the supply chain attack that targeted the software company Kaseya and crippled 1,000 businesses globally. This was a massive, I'm not really sure if they were hacktivists, we'll say. Arguments could be made that they certainly were. Not everyone is this horrible, oh no, Russia, that our media paints them to be. There are white hats at work all over the place in the world. And they did a damn good job at whatever their goal was. Whatever it was. So, there is no immediate public signs that the government had anything to do with Revil going offline, but it seems like, there's always hope that to the United States government that Russia is doing the right thing. The server hardware could simply have just failed. It could have been taken down on purpose. They could be running. They could have realized, they've got 2.5 million of capital pipelines ransomware that they could be after us. We're dipping. The interesting thing is that Revil is not the only place that cyber attacks are happening. It's interesting in the world that we're living in right now. This work from home culture that's been brought onto us. Cyber attacks are kind of easier. I'll get into even sort of this channel's own in a minute. But here is literally a list of everywhere that's been attacked. We've got 729 total incidents and 3 billion breaches, almost 4 billion breaches. There's cyber attacks, ransomware, data breaches, financial information. It's all over the place. Look at this list. It's huge. So a lot of these are even unknown, the full extent of them. This was just June. We know things that have happened in July. The full encompassing reports on them aren't out yet, so I'm not even including them yet. we've got everything from Israeli to Austrian to, we know what Dave covered the other day, the German city cyber catastrophe. It's everywhere. It's, personally to me, this is more of an opinion-based segment, right? It's kind of exciting. This is a lot of taking the power back from a lot of these institutions that, at least I think people watching this video would agree, are ones we want to dismantle in general. Now, hacktivists, white hats, red hats, dark helmets, they are taking financial information, they are disrupting supply chains for the everyday human being, the general public, and maybe that's where it gets a little gray. First and foremost, it does hurt these conglomerates, and so that's something to think about, you know? But in this pandemic culture, in this work from home, it's getting easier, according to Reuters right here, for cyber attacks to happen. Now, home computers aren't as secure, typically speaking, right? You leave a large breadcrumb paper trail, digital paper trail, everything you're doing. And a lot of people don't know the ins and outs of DNS servers, cache clearing. They don't know how to clear away their footprints online, and they leave a lot of easy access. Personally, even for this channel, some weird stuff's been happening. Some of the Patreon episodes have gotten delayed a day or two because me editing, internet's weird. 2 days ago, now normally I have everything on a hard drive. Whenever I'm not home at my normie day job, the hard drive is unplugged, the computer is turned off. You know, that's secure, right? I'm always using VPNs. I had to leave it running. I think it was Monday. I had to leave it running while I was at work to upload a video to Dropbox, because on Patreon we use Dropbox, no censorship of sorts, things like that. We really, like we said before, can really get into it because I've set it up to be that way. But left the computer running all day, right? I come home and my computer is connected to my home network, but not the internet. There is a hidden network that shows up on my computer. No one else is in the house. On the way home, this is when I first noticed something's up. I'm driving down the highway, and my phone, I notice, is connected to Wi-Fi. What? I'm going 70 miles an hour. How? I'm using, don't text and drive. I'm using Twitter while I'm driving. It's loading. I'm connected to Wi-Fi. What? I go look at it. It's a hidden network. Strange. I get home. The hidden network, as best I can tell, kind of the same identifiers. It's got the same local area connection. It's sending and receiving data to my computer. I can't connect to the internet that I'm using. What? So I disable the driver. I delete the driver. I use an Ethernet adapter, connect to my phone's signal, LTE, re-download the driver, thinking maybe some files gotten corrupt. Once I download the driver, this starts popping up on the screen. Enable Federal Information Processing Standards, FIPS, compliance for this network. I've never heard of this. If anyone has before, I know I've done loads of research into it now. We'll get into it in a minute. Never heard of it before. Best Buy, Geek Squad, Nerd Gang, whatever. Never heard of it before. To be clear, I worked around. I am reconnected to the internet without complying. But things like this are weird. What? Doesn't make any sense. We're mildly concerned. I've had bank accounts getting hacked way more frequently than anyone should ever want. This channel may be starting to gain notoriety that we didn't necessarily expect yet, right? But I mean, I'm here for it. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a stubborn ass person. This is a fight worth fighting. This is a truth worth telling, and we're not done. So precautions have been taken. extra barriers set up. I think it's going to be okay, but I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. So FIPS, just recently, if you'll remember, Microsoft lost its $10 billion JEDI contract. So why shouldn't you enable FIPS compliance? It basically explains that FIPS is for government computers. Remember, we're work from home now, right? And it uses specific government approved and regulated encryption codes. It is done by the National Institute of Standards and Technology, NIST. It is on all Windows computers. It was something that Windows used to say you should have on. They don't anymore. It doesn't change your interface, your accessibility to most things most people do, but it does change encryption, firewalls, data, right? Okay. We know the US government loves its backdoors. They've put backdoors in all the technology they sold worldwide for like 30 years, right? This doesn't necessarily indicate that they were directly spying on me, but to enable FIPS to only use, TLS 1.0 instead of any SSL protocols that you see on the screen right now, it gives them easier access if they wanted to. Maybe I'm just paranoid, but I think this channel is something they might want access to, not to find out things we have. We do have lots of things that shouldn't exist, but more just to scare off, right? It's weird. Current FIPS standards is right here. You can go to the NIST website. You can look at these. It's interesting. It's all very plain, very, we're just a government contract company, but we know they love those back doors, right? Something to be said. So NIST even lets us know how to deal with cyber attacks. Thanks. I trust you. I appreciate the advice, good news coming from you, right? It's interesting. And all of this cyber Polygon, all of this, we're starting to see lots of push for further encryption, push for further data safety, and first thing that comes to my mind in terms of most secure, right? People love to brag on the security of blockchain, on the security of biometric identification, of RFID tracking. It seems like this is building really well, really cleanly to getting people to be on board with the cryptos. Today, specifically, the World Health Organization literally said, I think this was yesterday actually, Dr. Michael Ryan right here. I'll play the clip for a minute. I believe the sound will play. If not, I'll import it. But he talks about how we need to get other countries on board and pass paper vaccine certifications, digital wallets. Take a listen.
So there are many layers inside. But from the perspective of WHO, we are working to increase the distribution of the paper versions of our international certificate of vaccination prophylaxis, and also developing a digital wallet that would be could be used for the same purpose. And as Sumia has said, issuing much more detailed data standards for countries to generate their own digital vaccination certificates. But that does not get around the policy issues around which vaccine.
If you're listening, a digital wallet that could be. See, he slipped a little bit. This has to be where they're moving. This has to be what they want done. A lot of these biometric identification things come out of Israel. Israel was already absolutely pushing that booster shot. It's one of the first countries to do so. A lot of this seems to come out forwardly, publicly. For first people to do so out of that country. World Health Organization on board all day, right? Even further than that, I talked about Bitcoin getting sequestered by the federal government. There's more and more talk of a Fedcoin. I'm sure lots of you have heard speculation on Fedcoins, but earlier yesterday, the Fed Chair Jerome Powell says cryptocurrencies and stablecoins won't be needed once the U.S. has digital currency. We'll even go to the video here just so you can hear him say it.
You wouldn't need stablecoins. You wouldn't need cryptocurrencies if you had a digital U.S. currency. I think that's one of the stronger arguments in its favor.
There he is saying it right there. You don't even have to just believe the article. You just heard him say it. They want to federally regulate even these. They want to federally regulate the blockchain. I've explained to lots of people. There's a new blockchain coming, an update to it that I am figuring out. But in its current state, direct deposit, you give your work, your bank account information, they directly deposit the money, right? If your job starts paying you in Fedcoin, you have to give them access to your blockchain. Blockchain's super secure. No one you want in it will get in it. But what about the people you give permission to be in it? They can see everything you spend, whether it be cigarettes, hookers, drugs, or buying stocks for a competitor's company, right? They can see what you buy because you gave them access. It's building to a very all-encompassing control mechanism. It's interesting. It's worrisome. And these digital wallets, these social media platforms, one of my most interesting things I found today, China was correct. Biden advisor applauds the CCP style of monitoring speech and control of speech on social media. Wow. Jack Goldsmith recently tapped for the president's exploratory commission on reforming the U.S. Supreme Court, argued in August 2020, in the debate of freedom versus control of the global network, China was largely correct. The U.S. was wrong. I don't know how all of you feel. I disagree with that statement. Fundamentally, especially the first half, I actually almost agree with the second half, right? The U.S. was wrong in a lot of what it did. Things can't run wild. You can't. Barriers, controls, protections, yes, in place, but this heavy bear down on what goes on the internet is getting weird. I mean, the dark web's always been there. They've always had access to it. They've always known what goes on. It's not like informants and cybersecurity specialists in the CIA, DOD, and FBI don't get on the dark web to check in. But it's starting to get shut down even it. It's starting to get wiped. It's starting to get purged. It's wild. I don't know where it comes next. You start to see these ultra secure networks, this cyber catastrophe in the German town, it breeds this. It calls for improvements. Now, something I found interesting too, just want to slip it in there. It goes back to these vaccine passports, these digital wallets. You think of the state of Florida and you think DeSantis can't miss. Can't miss DeSantis. That's his name. They've passed emergency measures, right? They've done things during this pandemic. We go to their website right here, the emergency management legislative budget. This was passed signed by DeSantis in May. This hasn't been talked about, right? We're about to get into what this bill says, and we're about to go read it. It's swapped back and forth all over the place. Absolutely, yes. But here's the bill, the actual whole bill. Now, lots of words. Jesus, lots of words. Ugh. They've moved all over the place. They've stricken words, but we've got lots underlined. But we're gonna go all the way down here to page 36 of 42. You really got to want to get all the way into this bill, right? No, it's even further than that. I think 38, right? Okay, yep, here it is. Ordering an individual to be examined, tested, vaccinated, treated, isolated, or quarantined for communicable diseases that have significant morbidity and mortality and present a severe danger to public health. Individuals who are unable or unwilling to be examined, tested, vaccinated, or treated for the reasons of health, religion, conscience may be subjected to isolation or quarantine. That's not even quarantine anymore. That is isolation. We'll shut you in a pod. You don't want to be tested, vaccinated, examined. Isolation. That is a signed law in Florida. Examination, testing, vaccination, or treatment may be performed by any qualified person authorized by state health. It goes on. It's pretty normal verbiage, right? But that verbiage, yikes. You think of Florida and you think of this shooting from the hip, very, very forward, conservatively, conservative because it's not really conservative anymore, right wing. Big dick swingers blocking big tech in bills from censoring people and not ever mandating vaccine passports already. But sure, don't mandate a vaccine passport, but it sounds to me like you're mandating vaccines or for me to be tested every week as long as you deem it presently dangerous. This is wild verbiage. Now, getting to the end here, it got pretty dark, right? But I want to wrap it up with something that I think is very cool, very fun, a little bit of a lighter note. Freedom Phone, uncensorable device that protects users' privacy, political voice from big tech. Eric Finneman cites the marketing tagline that encapsulates his new inspiration. Finally, a phone that won't put your voice on silent. So let's give him a minute. Let's listen.
History, where the people who banned books, media, and opinions were the good guys. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire. I made it in Silicon Valley, and I've accomplished a lot in my life already. But now, I'm leaving big tech to fight for free speech. Because the big tech overlords are violating your privacy, censoring your speech, and I think that's so wrong. That's why I created the Freedom Phone, and its uncensorable app store. Everyone is complaining about big tech censorship, but no one is doing anything about it. They say, build your own phone. So I did. Freedom Phone truly is the best phone in the world. It does everything your current phone does, except censor you and spy on you. With the Freedom Phone, your freedom of speech is our #1 priority. That's why we built our own app store that is completely uncensored. If an app you love has been banned from the mainstream app stores, you can still download it on ours, because we don't ban apps, period. And we've developed the first operating system based on your free speech. There's no app tracking, no keyboard tracking, and no location tracking, because I believe in your security. How do we ensure you're being protected? Say hello to Trust. Trust is our privacy guard. It's designed to warn you whenever an app or a website is tracking you and gives you...
So, he's a tech guy. He's the world's youngest Bitcoin millionaire, billionaire, whatever it is, millionaire. He's a dorky dude. This seems really forced. Yeah, but in concept, and as you can see down here, July 14th, 2020, this just came out. I have not poured into this, but I thought this was a great, cool concept. I wanted to get it in here. So, right now, he's got me intrigued. I need to go see who the backers are, because it's not just him. I mean, this is a massive, massive infrastructure of a thing. I don't know the demand yet. I don't know the pre-sales. I don't even know the price. Let's see if it says it on here, because I read it, but yeah, no, see, it gives you $50 off down here, but it doesn't. Yeah, no, he created startup. No, it doesn't tell you a price yet. So I don't know what that price is going to be. But it's interesting. Eric Finneman, upon my research, just cursory, it seems like a good dude. I'm into it. And we'll be sure to update you more on this kind of thing later. It seems pretty cool to me. So, all said and done, let's see if this gets banned. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I had fun reporting. I had fun getting back on YouTube. See you guys soon.